Hello everyone. Mainly today I'm going to be speaking about my experiences as of recent as well as going back like 3-4 years at this point, but it's evolved and over now to the past 4 months it's taken on like a new character as it does. So and what's taken on a new character is like mental health and depression. Now, I want to preface this like I am okay, uh, but half the time. So a lot of the time I'm actually really not alright. but I like, but we're gonna get into it. But I guess I'll just preface it for my family and shit because, and the people that care about me. Because a big reason why I didn't want to speak about a lot of this stuff is because I've actually been kind of programmed by society and culture and things like that. Uh, that I shouldn't speak about this. Uh, and it's kind of weird. And I also don't want to speak about it because I don't want people to worry. So it's like you just kind of suffer in silence because that's kind of how I've been taught now. Like I used to be more open about it, but I mean, but it also comes from my own as well. Like I don't want to be open about if I'm really struggling, uh, because like people don't really want to hear it. Uh, which is kind of hard, man. I kind of like one thing is just I contemplated making this video a few times, and I was and and I spoke like a few months ago. Like I was saying something about like suicidal thoughts, and a close family member rung me up. He was like, "Don't get offended, but don't say that on the internet." And I understand, like it's quite nuanced, but at the same time, like everyone's human, and the reason why he says don't say that on the internet comes from a place or a similar paradigm to this thought process that I had a few times, where it's like I want to express like my struggles and my authenticity of how my experience seems to be unfolding, uh, but then there's like also a voice in there that says like, yeah, but then people won't take you seriously. Like, no one's gonna want to hire me if I'm talk about depressive episodes. But it's like when it actually gets really like bad, yeah, bad. Uh, it's like I'm just like I don't give a fuck about who wants to fucking say nothing. It's like this shit is so real to me, and then you just say don't say that. It's like I don't know, like it's hard because you're not really because when you really like suffer that much and you're just getting pummeled with internal demons that just like drain your energy, and then you're just like in some fucking spiral. Uh, at some point you're just like I need to fucking say something. Like you like nothing else is on your mind because you just like lay in the dark and you're just getting like your soul fucking extracted by demons. I don't know. Yeah, I know. This is what I mean. So anyway, right. So let's get into it. So mainly, right, yeah. So it's about going to be about mental health and depression, but also I'm sure topics we'll get into as they are relating to mental health and depression, but also, of course, we're talking about me in particular. And me, for those maybe who don't know, like I like spirituality and psychedelics, which there's like actually different kind of distinctions where there is such thing somewhat as like spiritual depression or maybe dark night of the soul, and then psychedelics can also be tied up, of course, used for spiritual practices, and then also other spiritual practices, like meditation. Say actualize.org has like a video called The Dark Side of Meditation. He also has the dangers of misapplying spiritual teachings and the inherent dangers of spiritual work. And then of course we have like the breath work and just like general personal development can be very much tied up into it, which I have quite a bit to say about, especially because obviously a channel called Hamza reckons, or he's stated that expressing for a male to express their emotions the way that I will be doing so, or not even my emotion, just like what's been happening to my being, like my soul, seemingly. And I'm not gonna make any like, I'm not gonna be like trying to cry about it. I'm just gonna say, this is what I'm gonna be trying to aim for with this video. Is this has happened to me over the past few months. This has actually gone way back, like 3-4 years, but it matures and evolves and takes on different characters. And recently, I'll be telling you about like the past like 5-something months-ish. I don't know, like it changes a lot, but I'll just be focusing on more recent because I have had many recent battles. But Hamza reckons that expressing your emotions like this is evil. He says you should be stoic as a male. I have problems, I think, with this approach, as like Hamza says, like he has a video called like the reason why you're depressed, and I love Hamza like somewhat. Like I used to be a lot more, but like recently he's changed. Like he uploaded a video called "Reject Women, Embrace God," and he talks about on his mushroom trips how his hallucinations are like women being like submissive to him all the time. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I want to try to be more masculine in that in the future. Like just, but I don't know about this kind of like man sort of ideology. It kind of looks like, but I don't want to talk about fucking Hamza's manosphere shit or whatever. But what I was gonna say about Hamza, like, so he has a video like called like "Why You're Depressed." It's not that old. YouTuber and a good friend of mine, Key Parks, directed it to me, and he basically says the reason you're depressed is because you do shit that makes you feel bad, and you don't learn from it, and then you do it again. So, and he's right somewhat. Like you watch porn, you masturbate, and then afterwards you're like, why did I do that? Because we know that like porn is not good for you, and consistent like masturbation, especially if you just throw it away, just wasting semen, wasting energy, this is going to make you age faster, and it's not going to pay you dividends in the future. So it's not wise. So then you beat yourself up about it, and then you get depressed about it, and then you do it again, and then you're like, oh, why did I do that? Or obviously junk food is the best example. You eat shit food, makes you feel shit, you regret it. Everyone does this. So many people do this. You indulge in bad habits and then feel bad about it, and then you're sad about it. But I actually think this is a much different thing for like actual depression. And I think that like a lot of the like Western, especially, I think, like, or just typical, traditional, rational, personal development channels can actually be very toxic, I think. Because one, it can put a lot of pressure on people of like, you know, why don't you be better? Just do it. You know, you keep doing the bad things that make you feel. But like these people who are saying this shit, like they have no knowledge about like psychedelics or spirituality. Like not like the real spirituality and psychedelia. Like they don't know nothing about that. And it's just not as black and white as a lot of the way these people put it. Like I had a good friend of mine come around here, and I don't know, I was tripping on mushrooms actually, and I was watching Hamza, and we basically concluded, like, my friend didn't like Hamza, and again, Hamza's just a personal development YouTuber, and we concluded in the end the reason that my friend didn't like Hamza is because Hamza makes my friend feel bad about the way that he lives. And I just was laughing kind of because it's like, well, change the way you live then. But like, it's not that easy for a lot of people. Like, he'll sit there and be like, why are you like this? I don't know, but yeah, depression is not like, I think there's actually validity to depression and Dark Night of the Soul sort of things. Like there is actual like pain in reality of like being, and there are like inherent like realizations and traumas and like hard pills to swallow, so to speak. Uh, that can be somewhat a source of depression. I don't think it's just as simple as junk food making you feel like shit. And also, of course, junk. If you want to say the junk food makes you feel like shit, and that's the reason why your soul is hurting and your consciousness is trying to not accept reality and change it. Like, let's not forget about the fact that like literally all of our fucking food is genetically modified to fuck. Like what we got here, fucking bananas, obviously full of starch. Starch is not meant to be in fuck all, I don't think. Take this with a grain of salt, but hearsay speaking here, I'm pretty sure starch, well, it's not good for you, and I don't believe it should be in bananas. Like, obviously, it's GMO to fuck, genetically modified organism. And then we got these fucking fake oranges here that are like one of the most sprayed things with pesticides. So, and then that links into what Hamza's talking about with everyone going feminine. Like, there's like a massive resurgence of like, uh, everyone's going feminine. Like, I know Mr. Traumatic has a lyric called Axtrazine is a pesticide and it's turning all the men feminine. They're altering human genotypes and making a brand new specimen. This dog here is called Luna. I call her Gummo, which means GMO. Because I was laughing because you're a GMO dog, aren't you? Look at you. Who done that to your face? That's not what you're meant to look like. And then we had to get you a £2,000 surgery because some evil, deceitful people decided that they were going to genetically modify this poor creature and make her all scroungy and squish her face in. I'm sorry, I got to film this video. Here, have your ball back. Here you go. So yeah, I was just a bit of a tangent there about how all the food is poison, and that's another thing. Like, if you fear that how the food is poison, that can be its own source of like depression, and that's actually links into some of the recent things I've been having recently. Is like I feel like a lot of the reason why I've been feeling down a lot is because like every 3 months or so I get quite ill. Like, maybe I get a cold. Right now, the way I'm speaking is a bit weird. I can feel like mucus and that in my face, which mucus is, I believe, and I've heard, that is your body trying to remove toxins. I know Dr. Sebi claims that mucus is the root cause of all disease, supposedly. How it's like a filtering mechanism to remove toxins from shit like this. I know I've done multiple health lectures, and it's like like during the lockdowns, like fast food like McDonald's, Pizza Hut and stuff was deemed essential work when it's just gonna lower our immune system. And then it's really hard to get like real food. Like, all supermarkets are like the way that when everything's so mass produced, mass scaled, it's really hard to get away from the pesticides and the genetically modified. Obviously, they genetically modify the food to make it bigger, cheaper, grow faster. Like the chickens mature now, I think, at 2 months when it was supposed to be 8 months, like in nature's way. And nature is the key, really, in terms of the health. And health is very much linked to depression. When I first was getting depressed years back, this is actually what led me here today in terms of I started researching. Why am I so fucking depressed? Google. And eventually I found that, and Mr. Traumatic also enlightened me after I stumbled onto his music at a young age, how Yeah, it's all really connected. Like I know that serotonin, which is very much responsible for, I don't think it's necessarily the happy chemical in your brain, but it's like it's very fundamental to the way that your brain functions, and you need it. Like it keeps you going through the day and shit like that. But like serotonin is produced in the gut, so it depends on what you're eating, for the most part. Uh, So yeah, after learning that, I was like, oh, okay. So I mean, well, what do I eat? I eat like what do my parents give me? Because I was so young. I was getting given pot noodles, fucking spinach and ricotta, like pasta things in plastic. Uh, we were eating Domino's every single week. Domino's pizza, which is like the quintessence of. Uh, I know I actually used to work at Domino's Pizza, um, and this isn't like any new information. Like this is just like obviously, but it's like the actual. You don't have to work there to know this information. In short, but you just have to like have a few brain cells. And I'm not saying you shouldn't eat from there. Do what you want ultimately. And more of like an Alan Watts philosophy is just like yeah, the food is polluted, but at the same time it hasn't got to be that serious where you can still chill out and like eat what you want. Everyone can like pick their poison and do what they want with their existence ultimately. But the food, and I also used to work at Subway. To eat that quality of food every week to give to a child, um, really, that's really not wise, I don't find. And it was no wonder I was feeling so bad about myself and everything, because I was being given this stuff from such a young age, uh, and it's such poor quality. Like it's like it's just obvious. Like if you have brain cells, then it's just obviously fast food, and that is going to be like the worst of the worst quality. So yeah, I was eating that weekly, um, and I was drinking water from the tap. Of course, they put fluoride in the tap water and chlorine. Chlorine, I know, is like one of the most like the leading causes of a lot of cancers, and fluoride lowers IQ of developing uh, beings. Like when you're young, you don't want to ingest fluoride, as a fluoride is a waste product that they just put in there as it was easier to dispose of. Like, and all of this stuff is going to come out in the future. Like, we're not going to continue to put fluoride in the water because we can't. It's just killing everybody. Like, that's not supposed to be ingested. Um, like these things, like the chlorine and the fluoride. If you look at the bags that they literally put into your tap water, it's got like massive red fucking skulls on it that says "Don't let this touch your skin." And we literally put it in our water supply. Yeah, and then yeah, so just like supermarkets and things, they cut so many corners to be cheaper. Like obviously they're going to use the cheapest water with the fluoride and the chlorine for this, genetically modify it and things, which is, so yeah, nature's the key. Like the way that nature made it is already perfect, and when man starts fucking with it, um there's also like a lot of like vegetable oils, like rapeseed oil and things, and a lot of foods and shit like this is just like inherently toxic. Like it's not supposed to be in there. So it's all interconnected, the whole body and mind system, and the whole of reality in general. So yeah, poor diet, poor mental health. Uh, that isn't 100% set in stone. Like, so recently I've like developed somewhat of a philosophy. I think something very fundamental to life I put on my second channel is like, if you take everything really seriously, like, oh no, my body, oh no, this is gonna ruin my development, oh no, my health. Like, that's where you could suffer a lot more, and I think that's what happened to me, uh, especially more recently. Um, so yeah, sorry, I went off on a fucking tangent about the food there. So yeah, I'm taking long to get to the point. So yeah, Hamza aside, I didn't mean to go on a Hamza tangent, but yeah, so uh, other points that are relevant is like psychosis, schizophrenia, psychedelics. I already touched on that, and spirituality in general. And psychosis and schizophrenia are very much tied to spirituality and psychedelics. Um, and I've researched and looked into this field thoroughly for many years, and I've experienced psychosis and schizophrenia somewhat similar to like Connor Murphy and Leo Guru of Actualize.org. But yeah, so what happens to me anyway, so yeah, these are things that I didn't really want to speak about somewhat, like, because there's many nuances of it where it just makes me look like not a good person. And sure, I can't, everyone has the capacity for evil, or, but I mean, I gotta speak authentically, uh, and just honestly, because I feel like I need to, and I want to. I mean, I don't see why not. So, yeah, so basically, what happens to me? Uh, well, it's also important to note, sorry, that yeah, so that the health hasn't got to be so, uh, like fundamental to your, like you can have like the perfect diet, but your mental health can still be poor. Like Ramana Maharshi, he just sat in a cave and never exercised, but he was just like awake, so he was fine. Like I think the mental and like the way that you understand everything and things like that transcends any form, because you're kind of in the winds of the universe. So like if you attach to health or anything, like I think the consciousness overrides all form, like where you can really meditate your way somewhat out of all idea that what's changing in this three-dimensional world is like responsible for your mental downfall, I think is a falsehood. So yeah, so what happened to me? What happens to me anyway? So let's talk about like the most recent, uh, somewhat like episodes, um, and nuances within those. So I started crying less than a week ago, I think. Uh, I just smoked a joint, not now, but when I started crying. And when I got back in, the reason I was crying is because I was in the midst of like a depression. And I started crying because it made me sad that I let myself get so sad for so long. And it hurts and it's quite scary how it happens sometimes. Uh, because like I just like I don't know, it's it could be quite uh so sorry. It's like, so how does it actually go down? Like it's weird. Like often like I struggle to pinpoint like an actual reason, but then there's like a resistance for to let yourself explore what the reason is, maybe because you know you're full of shit. And I also I was contemplating getting help and calling somebody or something. I don't know what mental health help there is, and not that I feel I need it now. Um, so I mean, it just I don't know why I fucking can't speak. I'm sorry. I'll probably just upload this as failed video. Maybe I'll try again in the future. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what happens. Maybe I'll try and fucking speak. So it's just there's I basically just shut down. Just like my phone is on 5%, it's about to die. But I just shut down my fucking brain, my body, my mobility. I can't I just lose all energy. I'm in a very low vibration state, low vibe. Yeah, I could be quite lazy. Digital addiction, I feel like, is actually partly a big reason for it, but it also, I turn to it when it begins. But it's not actually, they're not 100% tied, because I can be good without it. But yeah, I mean, nuances that I have a lot of negative thoughts. I think just maybe I just focus on the negatives. Maybe that's what it is that kind of creates it. My behavior can slip where I'm not satisfied with the way that I am in the world. I can start apologizing for the way that I act a lot. A lot, yeah. Um, I'm sorry about my dog snoring. It's distracted me a minute ago. I can't really do anything about that. Yeah, and often and sometimes my mind just starts telling me verbally with language, somewhat, not literally with my mouth. But it just starts voicing. I could just be led in bed and it will just go I want to die, and then I'll just be yep, but I know that I shouldn't say that, and I don't really want to die. I know I'd not now. I don't want to die, but sometimes it just seems like that's where I want to go, and I'm always like pondering existentially what the meaning of all of this is. Like, what's the bigger reason? What's the purpose of it all? I see a lot of pain and suffering in beings around me. But again, I think it stems a lot from taking it too seriously. Why is my dog snore so fucking much, man? Like, it's hard to make videos in his house. Yeah, I see a lot of pain in beings around me, and yeah, I often feel like a slave to the physical when I wake up and when I'm going through the day. It's like I wake up and I'm just forced to embody my body, and I'm just forced to like do things in the world, uh, which is kind of the case, but uh, yeah. Um, I struggle to keep a job often. I struggle to like, bro, this dog, bro. I don't know. I used to crave a lot more than I do now, but for like for love and intimacy and things. Like I often feel very alone in this culture, especially. I don't know if it really is the culture or if I'm just creating it, but I mean like I don't feel like I'm where I should be. Uh, like there's a like I say, it's hard to get away from like I often somewhat like fear like the food because it's polluted. Um, and I find it hard to kind of get out of that. Uh, yeah, I can't really do videos with this dog. It's kind of stupid. I don't really know what I can do about it. But yeah, I'm okay really now, but there are a lot of things that I'm not okay often. Um, the mushrooms normally bring me back and help me. And I often don't want to talk to like a medical professional, whatever, mental health professional, because I don't know if I don't know if they really. They're not as deep. They don't know about the spirituality. Bro, sorry. I love you.